start it. Okay. So, Algebra 2, we're doing 8.2 right now, which is going over the same types of equations we did yesterday, where you have, it's like reciprocal equations, where you have the x in the denominator. And the difference in the ones we're doing today are that you have to solve for y now before you get your final equation. So this one I did already. And you have 3 over x, and then the 2 zeros here signify that it's not being translated left or right in a unit, or up and down in a unit. So now the question is, does anyone know, or does anyone remember what an asymptote is?
It's the
Right, it's almost like you're setting your new grid, right? It's the line that you're going down, so the vertical asymptote. So if it's not changing any, where will the vertical asymptote be?
0.
And 0. Right, and for the same thing for y, right? It's not moving anywhere. Does anyone remember how to find the domain?
Are real numbers, x cannot equal 0.
Right. And it doesn't equal 0. If it was any other set of numbers, then you change it applying to the thing, but because they're both 0, it shouldn't be 0. And the same thing for y. Right, does anyone remember the quadrants that it's going to be in when the top number is positive?
1 and 3.
1 and 3, right. So it's in a vertical stretch by 3. Will that line ever touch the x-axis?
No.
No, but it'll get closer to it. Alright, so this one, who can tell me what's the first thing you do?
Subtract 5.
Right. Then you should divide by x. Okay, so just like how I said, the difference between these two, besides the fact that one's a 3 and one's a -5, is that the -5 is a negative. So it's going to change the quadrants like we said, and it's going to be quadrants 2 and quadrants 4. Who can figure out the vertical asymptote? So just like number 1.
X
Right.
equals 0.
Right, so x is going to equal 0. Same thing for y. These two values don't have anything, so y is going to equal 0 as well. And because they're both 0, all real numbers, is going to be your domain, but x cannot equal 0. Same for y, all real numbers, y cannot equal 0. Alright, so now you're going to graph it. It's going to vertical stretch by 5. There's the negatives, what's going to flip into quadrant 2 and 4. And the one in quadrant 4. Alright, on to this one. Right, you subtract 4 first. And then divide by x. Same thing as the other ones, there's no value translating it up, down, left, or right, it's just being vertically stretched by 4. So your vertical asymptote is going to be x equals 0, and then your horizontal will be y equals 0. Same as the others, all real numbers, x cannot equal 0. All real numbers, y cannot equal 0. And then you're going to graph it, it's going to have a vertical stretch by 4, the number is positive, so it's going to be in quadrants 1 and 3. Over 1, up 4. Over 4, up 1. Does everyone understand what I mean when I say like you're reflecting over the axis? It's just the mirror image. If you were to have a line right here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go 1 down 4.
Nick, show them how to get that other point, remember?
I was just gonna wait till we came to that one.
Do it on this one too. This one's good because of the 4 in the numerator.
Okay. So, is there any other way you could figure out maybe one more point, maybe something that the number 4 is divisible by?
Plug in.
You could plug in 2.
Right,
Good job.
2. So you're gonna get this extra point here.
How did you get that, Libby? How'd you get 2?
Um,
Where'd 2 come from?
well, 4 is divisible by 2, and then it's in between.
And it's an x value between 1 and 4.
Right, so if you
So-
just plug into 4 over 2 is gonna equal 2, which is gonna
Yeah.
give you your y.
Very good.
And the reason for doing that is if you do it, sometimes when you get really big numbers and there's a big gap between them, your graph doesn't look as accurate when you go to graph it. It just makes it a little easier and a little more neat.
You'll see it, is it the next, no, not the next one. It's on the next page.
Right. Alright, so this one, just like solving for y, you're gonna add 4.
Oh, yeah, no, this one.
6, right? And divide by x. Y equals. Okay. Vertical asymptote, same thing. X will equal 0. Simple y will equal 0. All real numbers, x cannot be equal. All real numbers. Oh, sorry. Y cannot be equal 0. Okay. Rule 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
You have left your paper a little bit.
Oh, okay. And over 6, up 1. Right, so does anyone know a number that you can plug in for x to give you
3.
coordinates? 3, right? So 2,
What do you get when you plug 3 in?
2.
What do you get?
2.
Say it louder, 2.
2.
So 3, 2. Is there
Yeah.
another one you could plug in? What other number? 6 over
Negative
what that you
3.
know? Huh?
2.
2.
Right,
What'd
so
you get when
if
you plug 2 in?
3.
You get 2, 3.
Good, so you move over 2, up 3. Just like that.
Now, why is it good to do those 2 points? I told you,
To be more accurate.
to be more accurate, because there's such a big gap between 1, 6 and 6, 1. So that gives you a better picture. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Nick's not putting in the asymptotes.
Would you like me to put in this?
What you could do is extend the x and y axis just with a dotted line.
Okay.
But if it's not the x and y axis, you need to draw it in.
Yeah, like for the rest of these, all of them, they don't have the variable number like moving it or translating it anywhere. So it's still just gonna be along the axis,
So, yeah, very good,
just like that.
yeah. You could just do the ends if you
Okay.
wanted to.
Just like that. And that's how it's gonna look for the rest of these as well. That's why I'm not drawing them in, because it's already drawn on the axis.
Good.
Alright, the next one, right, you're gonna add by 8. You're gonna over x, y equals 8, and then you're gonna divide by 4. What's 8 over 4?
2.
It's x, y equals 2. What's left? You divide by x. Y equals 2 over x. Just like that. X is going to equal 0. Y is going to equal 0. All real numbers. X cannot equal 0. Only for the range. All real numbers. Y cannot equal 0. Good. This one, 1 over 2, over 2 over 1. Just like that. the asymptote. Right, so now you're gonna do this one. You're gonna divide by 2. X, y equals 5 over 2. Because you're graphing, there might be an easier way to put this, which is in the decimal form. Who knows what that is in decimal form? 2.5, right? So xy equals 2.5 over x, y equals 2.5 over x. Good. The vertical asymptotes will stay the same. X equals 0. Simple horizontal. Domain as well. One will not equal 0. Good. Go up over 1, up 2.5. Over 2.5, up 1. So over here. 2.5. 2.5. Just like that. Any questions on the first page? Alright. Flip through that. Alright. So this one, we're going to divide by 4, solve for x, or solve for y. Or what's another way for 2 over 4? 1/2, right. So x, y equals 0.5. Just like that. Then you're going to divide by x, same as the others. Y equals 0.5 over x. Good. Same thing. X is going to equal 0, y is going to equal 0. All real numbers for the domain. X cannot be equal to 0. All real numbers for the range, y cannot equal 0. This one, we're going to go over 1, 0.5, over 0.5, over 1, or up 1. So that. Should be really close. Did everyone see that or not really?
Or no.
For the next one, you're going to subtract 4. xy equals -4, and divide by your x. Y equals -4 over x. Good. This one's a negative, so just like all the other ones where the numerator is a negative, it's in a flip quadrant. Instead of being 1 and 3, it's going to be 2 and 4. And then it's going to be stretched by 4. So the vertical asymptote, x will equal 0 as well. Y equals 0. All real numbers. X cannot equal 0. All real numbers. Y not equal 0. Over 1, 4. And if you want, you can do it just like all the other ones, where you put you plug in a 2, right? You can get a 2, 2. Just like that. Then you flip it. Just like that. Okay, so this one, we're going to divide by 4. What's another way to say -8 over 4? -2. Same as the others, divide by x. Divide by x. -2 over x. Just like the other ones, where the numerator is like that, quadrants 2 and 4. X is going to equal 0. Create vertical asymptote. Y is going to equal 0. Domain. will not equal 0. All real numbers, y cannot equal 0. Condition of bracket. Just like that. Then for the next one, this one's a little simpler. All you have to do is just divide by x. Y is equal to 6 over x, which actually is the same one as this one. This one you just have to solve more. But same as the others, x is going to equal 0. Y, 0. All real numbers for your domain, x cannot equal 0. All real numbers for your range, y cannot equal 0. Now this one, unlike the last two, is positive, so then you're going to be in quadrants 1 and 3. You're going to go over 1, 6. You're going to go over 6, 1. And just like the last time, if there's a number that you can plug in for x that since it's divisible by, you can figure out 2 other points on the graph so that it's easier to graph. And then it's same as the last one, so it's just going to be over 2 of 3, and over 3 of 2. Just like that. And then do the same on the other side. Sorry. This one is actually just the same problem like you said.
Nick, where are your asymptotes on that last one?
Right here. And right here.
A little lower. You went a little too
Sorry. Then you're not gonna, it's gonna be 0 and 0 because there's nothing to translate it by. Right, this would be your up and down, your y, and then this would be your x, but there's nothing there, so you just plug in a 0. Right, so 6. xy will equal 6 divided by x, for x. Y equals 6 over x. Just like that. There's nothing to translate it. X will equal 0. Y will equal 0. All real numbers for your domain, x cannot equal 0. All real numbers for your range, y cannot equal 0. And you're going to graph it just like the last one. Last one for the paper. Right, you're going to divide by 2. What's negative 6 over 2?
Negative 3.
Negative 3, right. You're going to change it to xy equals negative 3. Divide by your x. Y equals, y equals negative 3 over x. Just like that. This one's a negative, so like the other one's a negative, it's going to be quadrants 2 and 4. X will equal 0. Y will equal 0. Your domain, all real numbers. X will not equal 0. Range, all real numbers. Y will not equal 0. And then graph. 3.
Why are you in that quadrant?
Just a negative
Good job.
value. Just like that. Any questions on this page?
No.
Let's give him a round of applause.